Alright, picture this for a second, fellas. This is you. You are an avid Minecraft modded enjoyer. You've dipped your toes into all sorts of mod packs, both sci-fi and magic, fantasy, dragons, or just an SMP. Nevertheless, you want to spice it up, but you've seen so much of the same things everywhere else. You've played Nomi, you've played Create Above and Beyond, hell, you've played Terra Firmacraft because you're a psychopath. But let's talk about something that will tickle your fancy, but also make you enjoy the game in a way you never even understood. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you Supersymmetry, one of the greatest mod packs currently in development. Now, I can already hear you asking, KYN, what the hell is Supersymmetry? Or maybe you're like, I've seen this before. It's just another tech pack, right? Well, wrong. Let me tell you what it really is. So on the surface, yeah, it's just another tech pack. But why is it so different from TFC, GT, MI, and all these other tech packs? Well, Supersymmetry, unlike most, focuses on realistic chemical processes. To my knowledge, there is not a pack that's done this. There are packs that are akin to it, where they've dove deep into it, but it's not. Nothing that I've seen is like Supersymmetry. Now that the glazing is done, let me actually talk about the pack. Alright, so what better way to start explaining this pack by just putting a disclaimer. When you play this pack, forget everything you know. Not literally, but don't go into Supersymmetry expecting it to be like Nomi Factory. Alright, because it will hold your hand, but it's not gonna lead you there. You gotta walk there yourself if you get what I'm saying. So you start off in the primitive age. So you got your stone tools, you got your general stuff, flint progression, all this stuff, your crafting table. Notice how the bed is absent. We'll get to that later. And your whole goal here is get to bronze. You want to get bronze. Bronze is important. It is your tier 1 priority from landing. Obviously after you got your tools and all that and you have a small house. You want to get to bronze because bronze is required for steam. But before you can just speed on it into bronze, you're going to need the primitive blast furnace, iron, water pump, and the water pump tank. Or the water tank, sorry. And basically, to the new players watching this, and to the experienced ones, basically your job, your main 3 goals: bronze, bricks, and the primitive blast furnace. And then your little sub goals of other stuff like the primitive water pump and all the other things. If you know, you know. Once again, this is not a guide. This isn't me explaining everything 101. This is just me giving my commentary to people new to the pack. So yeah, that's basically how it is. So you want your bronze, you want your oven, you want your water pump, and there's quest lines for this stuff as well. And you want to get all this done. So when you're a new player, get all this stuff done first. Don't worry about the rest of this stuff. It'll be important later. Just get to the Steam age. Alright, so now that you've got yourself out of primitive, you're in the Steam age. Bronze, copper, tin, the usual stuff. You know how it is. If you've played particularly Greg Tech packs, you'll understand, right? So you got the usual stuff. You got your boilers. So when you get here, get your boilers. So by now you should have existing water infrastructure. Make sure that is set up because you're going to be using your coal for boilers. You're probably thinking, what about solar boilers? I see them right here. Well, silver is very hard to come by. It's not like end game levels of hard. It's just you're not going to find a lot of it in the overworld. So make sure any bit of silver you find, be it in the small piles or underground, get it. It is absolutely important for your solar boilers. So you've got your water infrastructure set up. Your boilers are being fed with coal and water. Now, disclaimer, do not leave the boilers without water being filled into them. What do I mean? Let me show you. Alright, see this boiler? This is the UI. See how there's no water? See this red bar? This red bar, when it fills to the top, it will explode. Now, many of you are already aware of this. Let's just pretend you know nothing. So, make sure your existing water infrastructure is set up and you're constantly feeding the boilers. This is what, boilers. Water to be turned into steam. This is why I said, get pumps. What is it called? Sorry. Yeah, pumps. Pardon me, I got the hiccups. Apologies. But here's some more, I guess, things you should know. Okay, so you unlock these 3 at LV, or whenever you get steel. So this is the dumper, the flare stack, and the smokestack. So the flare stack
not sorry, the dumper, it voids liquids. So let's say you want to get rid of some water, chuck it in the dumper hatch. Flare stacks, like in real life, get rid of flammable gas, like hydrogen. You want to get rid of hydrogen? Chuck it in here, it will void it straight away. And smokestack, let's just say steam. You want to get rid of steam? Chuck it in here. Those are examples. And there are dedicated spots in the quest book for all three of them. Pause on the frame if you want to read them. These are all very important for your production chains later on because you're going to be getting rid of a lot of byproducts you're not going to want. Now, back to pipes. No, two pipes, sorry. This is like my 15th time recording it. So, there's some things you want to know. Whenever you see a pipe and you're hovering over it, it's going to say three key bits of information. The transfer rate, which is how much of a certain liquid goes between blocks. So this will do 10 liters per tick. Capacity, how much a single pipe can hold in its inventory, or I guess in itself, so 200 liters in this case, and temperature limit 340 K. So say there's a liquid. Let me just get this up. Anything that looks like this, obviously, is a liquid slash gas. This will have two bits, well, technically three, but let's just pretend I'm dumb as well. There's 3 bits of key information, right? Well, technically there's more, but I'm telling you what you need to know now. Temperature. If this number, the red number, is higher than the number here on your pipe, it will destroy the pipe. Same thing and remember those waste management blocks I just showed you. Whenever you're hovering over a fluid, it will tell you what it can get voided with. So deuterium, smokestack, fluorine, smokestack, hydrogen, flare stack. Like I said. So pay attention to these when you're actually looking, when you're like designing chains, building, or when you're just experimenting. I recommend going into creative mode first and looking at all this stuff before you start building like a major chain or whatever. Like you want to make sure you know what you're doing to an extent. Alright, more about pipes. Let's talk about it. So pipes, every single type of pipe in this game comes in 7 different sizes. 7. So you got tiny, small steel, oh, for God's sake, just like this is the regular size, so it will just say like what it's made out of. Large, huge, quadruple. These are currently unimportant for you, and non-upple, also unimportant. This is for like later. But notice how each size has different. The 2 bits of information that will always change between sizes is the transfer rate and the capacity. So pay attention because this is critical information for whenever if you want to make things go fast or you want to get things in higher quantities to different places. So you always should be reading what the pipes are telling you. Okay, knowledge is power. These two are for more like advanced purposes, but so far this is the fluid pipes. Now let's talk about item pipes. Okay, there are 2 types of item pipe, and I'm not talking about materials. There's your regular item pipe. So remember what I told you before, the transfer rate. This is 32 items a second. So every second, 32 items will pass between inventory. And then there's a restrictive item pipe. So the difference between this can go wherever you send it. So say there's like this is a machine, and then this is also a machine, and I'm moving, let's just say coal, but it will get sent to both. Or yeah, it will get sent to both. More on that later. Restrictive item pipes, I believe, when something crosses this threshold, it doesn't it can't go back. It can't go back. Now another thing about pipes, both fluid and what's it called? Fluid and item, is you can wrench these. So if you just shift right click, this arrow will appear. Nothing will go back from this point. So if you're worried about items going back the way they came, they will not. But we will continue. We will continue with the showcase. Now I hear you, KYN. Get to the damn point. Why is supersymmetry different from most other packs? And I apologize because I see a lot of people, especially in the Discord, and they get stuck, especially at early game. Primitive and Steam Age and LV is the critical moments where you decide if you're going to invest into this pack or not. So I was just getting some basic tips out of the way, alright? Just so they'd understand. But now that we've got some of the basics out of the way, we can talk about what makes this pack so different. Okay, so for the first 3 tiers of this pack, it's generally something akin to Nomi Factory or another pack, especially if it's like a Greg Tech pack. It's generally the same. It's not one to one, but it's borderline the same. So the pack doesn't really start becoming its own until medium voltage. So let's talk about it.
So where normal packs would dumb down or oversimplify processing chains for the sake of gameplay, Supersymmetry says, screw that, we're going to go in depth and full detail on nuclear processing, alloy forging, computer fabrication, chemistry, raw material processing, and all sorts of things, man. It's crazy. Like even workshopping, microcrafting, something as simple as a bed becomes an actual milestone and achievement. And I'm not talking about GTNH where like you just build it with a fence, bro. No, I'm talking about you don't get a bed until EV. You don't get a bed until EV. And I know hearing all this sounds overwhelming. I mean, we just went from talking about how pipes worked to literally how oil processing has been changed from the ground up. Now, I know, but don't get discouraged, bro, because the beauty of that and the fun of that is actually in learning and doing it. Now, like I said, this isn't a guide, so I'm not going to explain everything in this video. I'm just introducing you to the pack, and I want you to enjoy the pack. So let's talk about some goals you can achieve because this pack is still in development, right? It's not finished and things are subject to change. So let me just give you some personal goals I'd like to achieve or have achieved in the pack so you can have something to work towards. So this pack is a little bit of a grind, but it's a fun grind. So let's talk about some goals you can work towards. Uranium 235, nuclear weapons, super alloys, heavy elements, rare earth elements, what else? Beds. Um, the full arsenal of guns, cryogenics, and a bunch of other stuff, man. You don't even have to listen to what I'm saying. You can play the pack how you want, but you don't need to like play according to some rigid structure or meta. Play how you want. Play at your pace. There's builders. There's grinders. There's people that just lawn base and don't care how the thing looks. There's people who just want to build and make their base look nice like me. And then there's people in between. There's people that want to go explore. I haven't even talked about structures. I haven't even talked about space that's coming out. I haven't talked about other stuff. This is just a plain introduction. And I know I didn't cover anything and I know I glossed over a lot of things, but please let me know if there's anything like suggest a guide, suggest tips and tricks. Maybe I'll make an oil processing guide. I'm really speaking to the newer players here because I really want them to like get into the pack, right? Because early game is where you decide if you're going to keep playing or not, and it is very discouraging. I understand. So let me know honestly, like, and let's just get the usual jargon: like, subscribe, comment, favorite, share with your friends and your enemies, and I'll see you in the next one.